Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Option. We are here. We're going to be doing something different for you. It's mere days away from spring football, but we are in the throes of another season. It's stickball season, and I am here with the stickball expert of the Florida State beat, Tomahawk Nation's own Brett Nevitt. Here is our special guest. Of course, I've got the two nerds that I'm always hanging out with, Adam and Kevin, blah, blah, blah. You know them. But let's talk to the new guy, the fresh face. Brett, how you doing, my man?
I'm pretty good. Still recovering from a long trip over to Jacksonville yesterday, but doing all right.
Doing good. So before we're going to get into it, we're going to have a full length conversation discussing Florida State baseball with Brett. Got a little special highlight package here that we're going to talk about, covering both baseball and softball. But before we get to the more extended conversation, Brett, how you feeling about Florida State baseball right now? You feeling good?
Feeling pretty good. Just feel like they can do a lot more things than last year, and that they're going to be a more enjoyable team to watch. Obviously, last night was a little different story, not the most exciting game to watch, but overall, I think it's just a team that's improved, and I think it's a team that's just much more complete this year.
Hey Brett, that was Tuesday night. This is movie magic.
Yes.
You're seeing this Thursday morning, probably.
There you go. Let them know the sausage is made, Kev. Very subtle. The art of subtlety never escapes you. Well, listen, this is what we're going to do because Florida State did have a series sweep in their first series of the year against the James Madison Dukes, and big game for FSU softball. They beat the number 3 team in the country, UCLA. So we decided to do something a little bit different for you. We're going to do a little experiment. Kev, our video expert, has put together a little highlight package. I have put together my best Kenny Mayne impression. So I got a little copy. I've got a little commentary. I've never done highlights before. I had to time this all up manually, and we can put a little parental explicit warning because my co-hosts have no idea what I'm about to say. So if you have children, I apologize in advance. All of these takes are satire, alleged humor purposes. Many people are saying nothing I'm saying should be taken seriously. All right, Kevin, let me know when we're ready to go.
All right. So I'm gonna mute myself so I don't.
Okay, well, it's not going to be that funny, so don't worry about it. Here we go. We've got Florida State versus the James Madison Pukes. The Pukes take the lead as Travis right for Schneiderberg and hits a solo shot out to right field. Disgusting, but not so fast. As resident newbie Brett the Hitman Roberts ties it up with the dingsy. Ooh, look at this nice little slow-mo replay here. Bam. Beautiful, pure. Makes me want some waffle fries. Go Chick-fil-A. Later that inning, James just the Tibbs gives the good guys the lead. Look at that. The bats are hot, boys. From there, James Madison was much like Adam Brown in high school. They could not stop striking out no matter how much they tried. Parker Mestick imposed his will. And here we go. Nice little hit there for the Noles. E.T. tried to phone home, but his spaceship got blown up, thrown out at the plate. Embarrassing. Reese Albert with a little BU next Tuesday action right there. Nice fundamental baseball. Whoopsies. Logan Paul Lacey just hit that ball right over a Japanese suicide forest to advance the runners. The Noles are looking good in game 1. Boom. Look at that hustle. Very good. Once again, fundamental baseball, just grinding out runs, Tony Hawk Pro Skater style. I am impressed with this Noles team. They are up 4-1, top of the 9th, game 1. Boom. See you later, nerds. Get out of here. Noles get the win 4-1. Let's move on to game 3 of the series. And the Noles are out for the 4th President's Blood. Alex Tororo Borealis starts off hot, and the Noles are on fire again. It's a tie game in the bottom of the 3rd. Reese Albert, he hit a ball higher than Snoop Dogg at the Super Bowl halftime show, right into the outfield. Boom. Takes it into second. He had a wonderful weekend all weekend, this guy. And my God, look at those moves, child. Do what you got to do. 2 on now, Alex Golden Terrell. He drives 2 of his own Buffet boys into home. And the Noles have once again just beaten up James Madison. There we go. Look at the plate. Admiring the handiwork. Nice energy. Ooh, good fist pump there. Oh, that is okay. By God, that's terrifying. Woof. The beatings continue. The Noles got a 2-run lead right here. And once again, I think we're going to see, are we going to? Holy hell, these guys are really weird, but that's all right. They're good at baseball. Oof. Speaking of baseballs, you can call that baseball Jeffrey Epstein because it was definitely murdered. Allegedly satire, many people are saying. Brett Roberts, once again, the score is 8-2, and he takes no prisoners whatsoever. A good find by Mike Martin Jr., the meat man and staff. 10-4, good buddy. James Madison, you may have won the War of 1812, but my God, did you get your asses kicked here in Tallahassee. Moving on to softball, the Noles take on some California Bears that are more formidable than Hank the Tank, the UCLA Bruins. Little air there, but not her fault. Saw some Dorito dust on her glove. It happens to the best of them. In my opinion, the Bruins score a fake run here. Noles pitcher Danielle Watson, dragon punch, wind up. These dastardly Bears are going to get another hit. However, that bat was not regulation size, so that's another fake run. Bottom of the second, full count. Michaela Natasha Bedingfield, she sends that one over the hills. 2-1, the Noles are climbing back. Bethany, the dean of Mean Keen, with a single in the first to give FSU the lead. All your base are belong to us. The Lady Noles are fighting hard. Oh, and disgusting, gross, terrible. UCLA back on top with the solo Dingsky. Oh, what all down here? Okay. What's going on? All right. We move to the 8th. Catherine Sandercock with a mass that would make Jason Voorhees blush. Ends the inning with the bases low, ice in her veins. Noles win. Kaylee Harding euthanizes those Bears in extra innings. Go back to your shanties, UCLA. The Noles win. The number 3 team in the country goes down. And my word, what an absolutely beautiful weekend from the Noles. Stickball rules. Everyone else drools. Back to you guys.
Touche.
That was excellent, Trey.
Hats off.
That had to be awful to listen to. And I am
Not
out
at
of...
all.
That was all manually
great.
timed.
I laughed like 6 times.
I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, I couldn't stop
Good.
laughing.
Brett, what do you think, buddy? Do I got a future? Should I be calling Bristol? You think ESPN's going to be lighting up my phone there?
I think that was well done. It's better than A-Rod on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh,
Well,
poor A-Rod.
You know what? I know that's a compliment, but my God, is that a low bar? I got to watch a lot of him as a Cubs fan on Sunday. But you know what, Brett? You're a nice guy. Now, listen, I'm going to take a backseat. I've got to rest my vocal cords, and I am not much of a baseball expert anyway. So, Adam and Kevin, talk to Brett.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to want to know. I think a lot of people are going to probably watch this and say, "Oh, what the hell happened last night down in Jacksonville?" But let's go back to the weekend. Obviously, a big weekend series, winning all 3 games against JMU. You recap that for us. Like, who were some of the guys that really kind of stood out to you? Maybe some surprises from the weekend, some things you saw that surprised you?
Yeah, I don't think there were many surprises for me, to be honest, just because, I just think it was a lot of things that I expected to see. It was just good to see that actually happen against another team rather than in a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Overall, just the top of the order was relentless. In that weekend series, I think the top 4 hitters combined to hit 525 on the weekend. Reese Albert had ended the weekend with 7 straight hits. Terrell had 9 RBIs. Brett Roberts was 4 for 8. Logan Lacey, had that 3-run home run Sunday, and it seemed like he hit every ball hard during the weekend. Overall, I think just, Reese has made huge improvements with his swing and his confidence. And, Alex and Brett are both huge impact bats from the transfer portal. And Logan's Logan, and he always does his normal thing. And then I think you saw that Parker Messick and Bryce Hubbard are the best 1-2 punch in the country. And, I just don't think any other 1-2 punch in the country can compete with those guys. And just the way they pitched, the stuff they had, and also just the way they attack hitters and the way that they handle themselves in the mound every day. And overall, it was just really good to see the approach in the weekend. On Tuesday at JU, they struggled a bit with the approach, but, first road game of the season, it is what it is. And overall, I just think the approach is much better this year, and the buy-in is there, especially from some of the young kids. And I think some of the young kids have really good futures ahead of them.
So could you break down what you mean by the approach? Because I know that Meat's approach is significantly different than his Pop's. So can you break that down for us?
Yeah. So Meat's approach is basically, attack fastballs, middle third, and it doesn't really matter what the count is. Just if you get a fastball middle third, attack it. A lot of what Meade does is about letting the fastball get deep and driving it the opposite way, because if you're letting the fastball get deep, then you can hit off speed pitches, because if you're getting the fastball out in front and you're to the pull side, then it's hard to make adjustments on off speed pitches. And I thought they showed a lot during the weekend that they were sending the ball backside and fastballs were getting deep. And I think all the home runs this weekend, except for Terrell's grand slam, was to the opposite field. And a lot of the hits, a lot of just the 2-strike RBIs were balls that were either hit the opposite way or just balls that they reached out for on 2 strikes and just got a piece and just put it in play. And I think they're just preaching that good things happen when you put together quality at bats. And all that comes from buying into Meade's approach and what he wants to do there.
So if I'm not mistaken, his dad was more about taking first strike, making sure you're patient at the plate, right?
Yeah, his dad was more so about patience and making pitchers grind down at bats, and they still want to do that. It's more so about putting pressure on through athleticism and contact, and I think that's what they have this year. They think they can do that way more this year, and I would just say that Meade still wants guys to be patient, and he wants guys to swing at what they should swing at and take what they should take. That's kind of the main point about his approach, I would say.
Yeah, one of those guys that I really thought kind of emulated that approach was Brett Roberts. I mean, can you talk about his game some? I mean, he's a guy obviously came in through the transfer portal, but I mean, he lived in that right center field, when he was making contact this weekend.
Yeah, so I was with Brett in the Cape Cod League this summer. I interned for 2 Cavaliers, and he was one of their infielders all summer. So I've gotten to know Brett pretty well and gotten to see him play basically every single time he's swung a bat for the last calendar year. I've seen it basically. And, Brett's just got really special hands. And I think, he's a guy that can let the fastball get deep and does damage the opposite way. And, for him, I think going the opposite way for his home run early in the season was a good thing for him, because he can see that he can go a home run over that fence. And I think that's going to do him favors. Brett's a guy that can use the whole field, hits line drives, athletic kid. He struggled a little bit on the base pass this weekend, but when he's right on the base pass, he can do good things and create some havoc. He's got pop in the bat. He's a skinnier guy, but he's got pop in the bat just because of how special his hands are and the way his bat comes through the zone. And like you said, he used the opposite field really well this past weekend. And I think he's a kid that is a 300+ hitter, and he's going to make contact, and he's going to run the base as well. So I think, there's not many parts of his game at the plate that there's not really any holes, because he sees spin really well, which makes him, he just uses the whole field really well and lets his hands go to work at the plate.
Everybody's going to talk about the 1-2 punch pitching. Everybody's going to talk about the top of that lineup. Is there any player that maybe had a really good series but just didn't get talked about coming out of this past weekend?
Yeah, well, I thought a couple of the freshmen had really good weekends, and James Tibbs hit that home run on opening day, and I thought Jaime Ferrer had a hit every game in the weekend. He's their everyday DH right now, and came in as a catcher, but he's DHing and playing outfield this year. And I thought he showed that he's really going to hit here, and both those guys. I think Tibbs is a guy with more power and has a little has the loft in the swing, is going to hit a lot of home runs here, and Jaime is a guy that lines balls all over the field, and he's got athleticism. He can do a lot of things. Had that base running error on Tuesday that cost them, but he's going to be really bright. He has a really bright future for them. I thought Jonas Galaro on Friday night showed why he's FSU's closer. He's just Mr. Reliable, can do anything for them, can come into any situation and throw 4 pitches for strikes. And I thought Jackson Green, he was playing this weekend because Jordan Carrion was out with an injury. So he's playing second with Trayton Ring playing shortstop. And I thought Jackson, just played his game this weekend, played good defense, didn't try to do too much of the plate. And, probably had his best weekend as a hitter at Florida State as he's had. I think he hit 500 on the weekend. Nothing too flashy, but just, executed a hit and run, had a couple swing and bunt singles, but that's what happens when you put the ball in play, and just good things happen.
So, Brett, we've listed all the good things about this team, but where do you see the weaknesses being? Where might they run into trouble come tournament time?
Yeah, so I do think they're a pretty complete team. I think they, maybe one lefty bat short coming off the bench, and I think that was something they saw a little bit yesterday. And, at the end of the game, they didn't have a lefty bat to go to, or sorry, on Tuesday, like you said. But the ninth inning,
All good.
With a righty closer in, they don't really have any lefty bats on the bench. And, part of that is Tyler Martin's out right now. But overall, I mean, I don't know. They've got to get some of these younger kids in the bullpen more experience. But I just think by the end of the year, those guys' stuff is going to play up because they all have really good stuff. They just don't have the experience yet. Yeah, I mean, this team doesn't have as much pop last year, but they battle. There might not be as much talent in this lineup as some other lineups, but I think they fight, and they showed that this past weekend. Yeah, I don't know. It's a much more complete team than last year. I mean, I think they play good defense. I think they can run the bases. They can put the ball in play and do some things, and they're really going to pitch. So I'm not saying it's a perfect team, but it's just a well-balanced team.
It does look like a group that does their job. I'll say that. Watching a lot of these at-bats this past weekend, it seemed like guys knew what their job was when they got up there, and they had professional type at bats. I mean, Roberts is a guy who's taking it to right field. Terrell, he had that sac fly to left field at one point. I think it was on Saturday, maybe it was Friday. Guys just seemed to do their job when they went up to the plate, which is refreshing because we haven't necessarily seen that over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, and that was something Meat talked about a lot, especially Friday night. Just they didn't put up a ton of runs. It wasn't super flashy, but they did. I mean, they only struck out 3 times, and Alex had that sac fly, and they just did things the right way. And I think when they do things right way and just keep pushing the quality at bats, that they can be a really good lineup. And just, especially with Carrion coming back and, the possibility of Tyler coming back as well, I think it can be a really deep lineup 1 through 9.
So this has been a hot topic in the Discord, and I'm curious your thoughts on baseball purists are probably wondering how the hell Florida State can have this many lefty starters in a weekend. Why is it okay to have this many lefty starters for the weekend?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I don't think it even went into the discussion when they were choosing the Sunday starter. I don't think they really cared about having 3 lefties. All 3 of those lefties are very different guys from each other. Parker works east-west, Bryce works north-south, and Ross is a guy that just tries to overpower you basically, and will drop in curveballs. But I mean, Ross is very over the top and a little more traditional than Bryce and Parker. Parker's got, the low arm slot, and, Bryce just uses spin rates basically to get guys out. And you saw that on Saturday, just spinning his fastball, really all he needed. And just, I think it makes sense at Dick Hauser too, because you want, with that right field fence, you don't want a ton of lefty bats in the lineup for the opposing team. I mean, if you can get guys playing to, only left field and center field, that's where Hauser's hard to get the ball out. So, I don't think it's just, to me, it's just choose your best 3 guys. And I think that's what they did. And Ross was so good in the preseason that, it was undeniable he was going to be the Sunday guy. And, he struggled his first start, but I think he's still going to have a good season for them.
Baseball purists just always crack me up. You can't have 3 lefties. You got to break them up. It always cracks me up. Speaking of pitching, Montgomery, what'd you think? What'd you think on Tuesday?
Yeah, I thought it was really encouraging. And I thought Carson's last preseason, outing was really good as well. And he showed, a lot of good signs. And, Tuesday he was the most efficient he's ever been. And, only 60% strikes and, hit by pitch in his last inning of work kind of, it derailed his start a little bit. But overall, I mean, I thought it was really good. Meat said after the game, it was a good outing for him. Seemed like he was mostly just using 2-seam fastball and cutter off of each other to get a bunch of ground balls. And, that wasn't something that Carson did last year. It seemed like he really wanted to be as perfect as possible and strike out everybody. Yesterday, it seemed like he really was just letting his defense go to work. And I thought he pitched well. And, he's dealing with a heel injury as well. He's got a bone bruise on his heel. So he was toughing it out, and they didn't want to push him too far. And to see him be efficient and get 4 really good innings, and, they kind of went off their plan to send him back out for the 5th, and, gives up 2 runs there. But overall, I think he only gave up 2 hits, only 2 free passes. And, that's what you want to see from Carson. And I still really like what Carson's future is going to hold.
Do you think his future as a starter is necessarily what he's going to be, or you think he's going to project to maybe to a bullpen type of role down the road?
Yeah, I think Carson's a pro starter
Yeah.
because he's not a high leverage guy. I mean, not a high effort guy on the mound.
Yeah.
Carson's very everything just kind of jumps out of his hand, and he doesn't really look like he's even trying sometimes. And he is trying, but he's just one of those guys that looks like he's not trying. I think at the end of the year this year, you could see him move to the bullpen to pitch in some higher leverage spots if he's having a good year and he's reliable with the strike zone. I've always thought that would be something that would really help them late in the season. Obviously, regionals and stuff, an ACC tournament, you do need that fourth starter. But late in the year, when you have weekends like TCU and big ACC weekends, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the bullpen. But long term, I do think next year he's a starter, and I do think when he gets drafted, he's going to be drafted as a starter.
That's great. We got the Sanford Bulldogs coming up this weekend. What before we get out of here, what are your thoughts? Anything you're looking for?
Yeah, Sanford can really hit. And they went to regional last year. They go to regionals most years. I think they're already 4-0 to start the year and have scored like 10 plus runs in 3 of their games. They rake every year. Every year you look at their averages at the end of the year, they're at the top of the country. So I think it will be a good test for the pitching staff this weekend. I also think it will be an opportunity for the bats to get back on track after Tuesday. Just want to see Ross kind of, settle down in his second start on Sunday. I just thought he was pretty amped up on his first start, and first start jitters a little bit, first weekend start that is, and I didn't think he was off by that much. So just want to see him kind of get back in his groove and back in the rhythm he had in preseason, and then just want to see the bats after Tuesday get back to their normal approach and not try to do too much, and just get back to playing at the home crowd. I mean, last weekend I thought the home crowd was awesome. I haven't seen that since Texas Tech came into town 2 years ago. So it was really fun overall to be there this past weekend. And I hope it's the same kind of crowds this upcoming weekend.
Kev, you got anything else for our guy?
Now, before we get too far into the season, I want to hear a end of season prediction. How far does this team get?
Oh, Jesus.
This
You got to put the pressure on him.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's a team that should host a regional tournament. I think if they would have to do a lot of sweeps to be a super regional team and probably win the ACC outright. We'll see if that happens. All I know is this pitching staff is an Omaha level pitching staff. I think it has the defense behind it this year to make the whole team an Omaha level team. And if they can just do the things that Meat wants to do and be able to put pressure on defenses through contact and some athleticism, I think it's a team that can definitely make the College World Series and make some loud noise deep into the year. But we're game 4, so we'll see.
Yeah, I thought I'd get the preview, get people excited.
Yeah, we got to deal with it all the time. So now you do, my friend. Listen, Brett, you do amazing work. You can read his stuff, Tomahawk Nation. He's got his own podcast, Sunday Golds. Him and Arya Masudi, friend of the show. It's not even a stretch to say best baseball coverage on the beat. Those two guys do a phenomenal job. Listen, subscribe, all that. Read all of Brett's stuff on Tomahawk Nation. Twitter handle is what? Brett with 2 T's PN.
Yeah. Yes.
At Brett 2 T's PN. He's got 2 T's, but he's number 1 on the beat. We love Brett. We love all of you guys. Spring football is coming up, but dude, so like Brett said, support your Knowles, Tallahassee people. Go see softball, go see baseball, keep the crowds kicking, and never stop chopping. We love you guys. Bye-bye.